Hello and welcome to Would You Rather? I'm your host, davidinark, and today we're going to answer some of life's most pressing questions, like this one. Would you rather have no thumbs or have only thumbs? And I'm presuming that means like you'd have no other fingers. So you get the thumb or you can have just your fingers. I'm going to go with no thumbs because I can at least still sort of, use things, play with controllers and stuff. No, I don't even play with controllers anyway. But, I mean, writing would be weird. But I think you could kind of figure that out with no thumb. I mean, I'm not saying it would be easy, but, for a long time, some of the very first hand-like robots, they just had the three like finger claw things so that you could reach down and pick things up without a thumb. Although technically speaking, it was more like this, so it really did have a thumb. But I think I could work with that. I'm going to go with no thumbs. I'd rather have no thumbs. Woohoo! 62% of the people agree. No thumbs is good thumbs. Or something. I don't know. All right. Oh, brother. Would you rather be in the Justice League, the Justice League, or be an Avenger? I'm not a superhero person, comic book person. I have no idea what's what. I don't know. I have no idea. Which one's Deadpool? Is that a Justice League thing or is that an Avenger thing? I don't really know. All right, so I'm taking Justice League. That's a lot of work for me to not have a clue what I'm doing. Oh, look, many people would rather be an Avenger. Oh, good for you. I would rather be Deadpool. That's what the question should have been. Would you rather be Deadpool or any other superhero? Deadpool. Any day of the week. All right. Would you rather put a toothpick under each toenail and kick a wall, or be scalped? Wow. Okay, so foot pains or a headache? Okay. I have to tell you, I would rather not be either one, of course. But oh, I would think that in the scheme of things, I would rather put a toothpick under each toenail and kick a wall, because at least in my thinking, when you kick the wall, yeah, it's going to hurt, and the toothpicks are going to go into your toes. Oh, that sounds so painful. But you could at least pull those out, and it would eventually heal. Getting scalped, I mean, they cut you around your head, take it off, and I don't know, do you get to put it back on and get stitched again and be like Frankenstein, or like Face Off? They could laser it. I don't know. I'm going to go with the toothpick, man. I can't imagine being scalped. Go with the toothpick. Oh, look at there. Well, that's not a big difference, but still the majority goes with toothpicks over getting your the skin of your head cut off. Ugh. Would you rather jump forward 10 years of your life or go back 10 years? Well, I guess that depends. Like, if you jumped 10 years ahead, first of all, would you know what happened in that 10 years? Like, do you play instant catch up and you go, oh, hey, this is where I am, this is cool? Or do you just show up in 10 years and you have no idea, but everybody else has come along for the ride, so they think you're a wackadoo because you can't remember anything from the last 10 years? The other side of that is going back 10 years. And again, does that mean like everything rewinds? Which I guess the forward one could be too. Does everything fast forward, or do you just plop down where you were, where you're going to be 10 years from now? Or do you plop down where you were 10 years ago, and then do you run into yourself? So you get into all these weird time travel kind of things. But between the two, I would rather go back 10 years, because if I could go back 10 years, which is a little after I first started playing around with YouTube, um, at least at the time of recording this, going back 10 years, I would attack my YouTube channel and all of the things that I'm doing through davidinark. And again, I'm assuming that I'm going to know things, or at least be aware of them maybe. But, going back 10 years, I would immediately jump on things like the EduTech guys, which I'm doing for podcasting and teacher training. I would really jumpstart and get into posting videos and games on YouTube, because 10 years ago would have been a perfect time for that. I got in late, but I'm going to go back 10 years, not so much for family and stuff other than, well, see, technically speaking, even 10 years ago is, at this point, still a year after my dad died. So I wouldn't get that back. It's not like I'd have time with him. So I would still go back 10 years just for that aspect of things. So there you go. 58% would rather go back 10 years. Not a lot of people answer this one though. I mean, I say that it's 600,000 people. That's not a lot, but okay. Anyway. So, would you rather stay overnight in a haunted asylum or go on a scary but broken roller coaster? Well, if the roller coaster is already scary, what's the broken got to do? I mean, you're just adding fuel to the fire there. Woo, okay, had a bit of coughing fit. Okay. Oh, I didn't see the top part. It says for a $2,000 reward. For $2,000? Okay, why does the roller coaster have to be broken? Why would I go on a broken roller coaster for $2,000? I'll stay in a haunted asylum I'll stay for $10. I don't care. I'm not one of those people who I don't subscribe to all that hauntedness stuff. No. So, yes, there are things that go bump in the night, but they're, rats and mice and raccoons and stuff. So I'll stay in a haunted asylum for $2,000. Why not? Would you rather run fast or jump high? Oh, okay. Running fast would be really, really helpful. First of all, I'm hoping that by running fast, I could cover a lot of distance and also burn a lot of calories and maybe get rid of some of this me. So there's just not so much of me. All right. Of course, I guess theoretically, maybe do the same thing with jumping high. I can't think of too many reasons why I would need to jump high, though. I mean, rarely do I think of things. I'm not, generally speaking, anywhere that being able to leap tall buildings in a single bound really is all that practical. Running fast, however, I've got a lot of uses for that. So I'm going to say run fast. Look at that, 75%. Over 1 million people. That is awesome. Would you rather have a Jello room or a pillow room? Mainly because the thought of walking around and whatever else in Jello. I mean, I'm just thinking not only the walking around, but sleeping in it. And, when you go to open the door, how does that work? Is this squish? I would much rather have pillows than Jello. That's right. Put me in a soft padded room because I'm a crazy person. I'm not really a crazy person. Don't get all wiggy on me. All right. So 66% of the people would rather have a pillow room. Besides that, it's soft. And if somebody comes over, you can beat them with a pillow. Bonus. Would you rather only able to whisper or only able to shout? Sorry. I really shouldn't have gone loud with that. But would I rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout? I would rather only be able to whisper because two things. One, I could whisper and I could get some kind of device that would help, theoretically a bullhorn or whatever. Some means could increase the volume of the whisper. Only able to shout, yeah, okay, I guess technically I could get a piece of equipment that would tone that down as well. But I don't subscribe to shouting all the time. if you've watched this channel for more than 2 videos, rarely do I shout anything. I just don't. That's just not me. I'm not a shouter. I'm much more of a, generally speaking, calm, cool kind of, you know. I'm more of a chilled out kind of person than someone who shouts. Now, there are some things I shout about, but it's usually, well, frankly, sports related, or sometimes frustration, but not all the time. I would not want to shout all the time. Despite the song, I know. Shout, shout, let it all out. But see, that's a one-time thing. You just do that, and then it's out, and then you move on. Of course, wham, life's full of careless whisper. You don't want that either. You really don't. But we're going to go with it anyway. I'm going with whispering. There you go. 1.1 million people. Woo! All right. Would you rather beat up a 7-year-old or beat up a 77-year-old? I don't want to beat up anybody. Oh my gosh, this is no winning. There's no way to win this. I mean, technically, you would always win. Well, theoretically. How old is Chuck Norris now? Because, yeah, maybe he's the 77-year-old you're fighting. I don't think so. Let's see. I'm Googling Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is, I don't know. Doesn't say how old he is. Come on, really. I mean, it does. I gotta do math. So he's 78. So at the time I'm recording this, Chuck Norris is actually a year older than a 77-year-old. You think I'm going to beat up Chuck Norris? I don't think so. But I sure can't go around beating up 7-year-old kids. That's ridiculous. So by default, I'm picking the 77-year-old, and I'm going to get my butt whooped because it's going to end up being Chuck Norris, and it's not going to be pretty. Wow. Most people would rather beat up a 7-year-old. What does that say about society? That is ridiculous. I hope you're happy with yourselves. All right. If you had a daughter, which I do, would you rather have her die of terminal cancer at 18 or have her get kidnapped and sold into the sex trade at 18? Have we had this question? I think we've had something similar to this. I again would rather neither one of these, but since we have to pick one, I would much rather my daughter die at 18 than be sold and kidnapped and sold into sex trade, sex slavery at any age. I would much rather that person, whoever it is, pass away of terminal cancer than anything as horrendous and as horrific as being sold into the sex trade. No freaking way. I'm so glad the majority goes with the cancer. Now, thinking this out a little bit, I could see where someone might pick the second one, might pick the kidnap one if they thought there was a chance they could get their daughter back. And I'm not looking at the bottom part. I don't know what the rest of the kind of the qualifier is down there. It may, the way I have things zoomed in, I'd have to scroll around and it's not worth it. But I'm thinking that perhaps the people who answered it on the red side were thinking that they could somehow get their daughter back and then be able to, get her counseling or whatever else where she would still be alive, even though this had happened to her. Maybe that's what they were thinking. But I have to say, between the two, I just can't imagine. No freaking way. So I'm going blue. A million people also agree. There you go. All right. Would you rather live in isolation or face your biggest fear once a month? Okay, well, first of all, living in isolation, I don't know. That never really bothers me. As long as I don't know how to say this, uh, as long as it's a self uh, induced. I don't know what's the right word, but where I brought on the isolation myself. If I decide I'm packing up, moving out, going off the grid, although that doesn't say you're off the grid, it just says you're living in isolation. If I choose to do that, fine, that's good. And if it turns out for whatever crazy reason that I'm put in isolation under other circumstances, truth is, I think I could do the isolation thing. I mean, whatever. Face my biggest fear once a month. Of course, that means that, first of all, I'd have to know what my biggest fear is. I don't really know what my biggest fear is. What if my biggest fear was being alone? In which case, it doesn't matter which one I pick, because they'd be the same. I don't know. I can't. I don't know what my biggest fear is. I mean, I have a fear of falling, and I know that sounds weird. I'm not afraid to be up high. Heights don't bother me as long as I feel like I'm not going to fall from the heights. So, I mean, like I've been at the top of the arch in St. Louis. I've been in a plane. I've been in really tall buildings where you look out. I've been to, the edge of Niagara Falls. I've been to Space Needle in Seattle. None of that stuff really bothers me because, well, frankly, it's, safe, secure, whatever you want to call it. But if it's open and I feel like I'm going to fall, then I have a problem with that. I don't know if that's my biggest fear, though. And, a lot of people, and I get this, a lot of people, their biggest fear is dying. We all have to die sometime. We are all going to die sometime. So I don't really have a fear of dying. It's going to happen. So, when it does, it does. I'm not really afraid of it. I don't necessarily want it to happen anytime soon, but I'm also not afraid of it. What else would be a big fear? Being, like, I don't know, mugged or kidnapped, buried alive. That would kind of suck. But here's the other thing, though. So if you had to face your biggest fear once a month, at what point is that no longer your biggest fear? If every month you knew you were going to be buried alive, and that was your biggest fear, but you also, maybe the first time it kind of freak you out, maybe even the second time, but after that you're kind of like, okay, I got to do this once a month. I can do this. And then you're no longer afraid of it because it's not really permanent. So then that's no longer your biggest fear. Now you have to face some other fear. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, it is a fear of flying. Okay, so now you have to go flying. But you're going to have to do that once a month for the rest of your life. At some point, I would think, you would overcome that fear. It wouldn't be a fear anymore. So I think eventually, you would actually have no fears because you would have worked through all of the fears. I don't know. This one's actually a little more complicated than I originally thought. But I'm going to go with that. I think I would rather face my biggest fear, once a month. Because I'm pretty sure I'd eventually get over it. I probably have some really weird, deep-seated fear I don't even know about. That would really freak me out. I'm going to go with isolation. I'm going with isolation. I don't know, man. Oh, okay. Would you rather sprout a tail or sprout a horn? I think I would much rather have a tail. And again, I don't know. I'm not reading down below if it says, that it has to be visible at all times. I'm going to assume not. So therefore, I would rather sprout a tail that I could, tuck down and put pants over, where it would be tucked down and I just put my pants on and nobody's the wiser. I'm assuming I could do that. So I'm going to say I would sprout a tail. I don't think I'd want a horn, especially just one. 2 horns. No, I don't want horns. Which I guess, it doesn't say how long it is. I guess you could put a hat on. Nah, I'm going to go with a tail. Hey, look at there. 70-30, sprout a tail. All right, we're going to do one more here. Oh, Well, I think we've actually had this one. Would you rather save the world but nobody knows? No, maybe we haven't had this one. Save the world but die as a hero in the process. I'm the kind of person that doesn't necessarily seek credit or fame, or, I mean, I'm an old man doing YouTube videos, for crying out loud, so there's not a lot of fame in that. But by the same token, even if there was, that's not what would drive me. So I think of these two, I would rather save the world and basically nobody knows about it. Now, the problem I would have is if somebody else were trying to claim they did it. Now, that I would have a problem with. So if it was save the world, but somebody else, claims credit, okay, that's a different story. But this just says save the world and nobody knows it, versus saving the world and then dying as a hero in the process. As I said before, I'm not really afraid of dying. That's not the issue. And I don't necessarily care if anybody would know that I saved the world or not. I think if I knew that I had saved the world, frankly, that would be enough for me. I mean, sure, I'd walk around with a little, swagger in my step and maybe a chip on my shoulder, just a little one. But then again, probably not. It'd be one of those things where, I did this and it was done. I'm one of those people that I do things in secret anyway. I help people in ways that they don't know it's me, and I don't go seek credit and I don't talk about it, just because it's something that I am doing. And so for me, saving the world but not letting anybody know and nobody knowing it was me, I'd be more than happy to have that be the story of my life, even though I'm the only one who knows that story. I'm good with that. And it's a 60-40 split. So 60% of folks agree with me that they'd rather nobody knows. And I can totally understand the 40% who would want to die the hero that saves the world. I totally get that. And I'm not knocking it. And, I can thoroughly appreciate why 40% of the folks feel that way. That's just not the way I feel. So let me know how you feel about this, about any of the things that we've talked about on this episode of Would You Rather. Leave those down in the comment section below, along with any questions, problems, horror stories, anything you got. Put that down in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much for watching. As I'm recording this video, we are at like 998,000 total views. So we are coming so close to that 1 million total view mark. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I appreciate it so much. And we'll see you next time on Would You Rather.